Morning, it's Anand here today from Osho, Ireland, and today I'm going to be sharing the sixth breathing technique from the Osho Book of Secrets. This week's technique is one that I don't think we can do together. So to explain, I'll read out the instructions and then I'm going to show you for me what it looks like. So I'm just going to read out the instructions. So it states, focus on the gap during your daily activities. The sixth breathing technique. When in worldly activity, keep attention between two breaths, and so practicing, in a few days, be born anew. So in this technique, we forget about the actual breathing in, breathing out. What we need to do is keep attention in between. So one breath has come in, before it returns, before it is exhaled, there is a gap. And Osho goes on to talk about this. But the key thing is when in worldly activity, which means this technique is continuous. Whether you're eating, sleeping, walking, doing your daily work, and so forth. This technique is whereby you're focusing your attention on the gap, not the breath, as you carry out a worldly activity. And that can be anything. I just want to read one other thing, and then I'm going to do an activity and share my experience of trying this technique. It sounds very simple, but I found it very hard. So, Osho goes on to say, you are walking, go on walking and be attentive of the gap. You are going to sleep, lie down, let sleep come, but you go on being attentive of the gap. Why inactivity? Because activity distracts the mind. Activity calls for your attention again and again. Do not be distracted. Be fixed at the gap, but do not stop the activity. Let the activity continue. You will have two layers of existence, doing and being, and this is the essence of this. We have two layers of existence, the world of doing and the world of being, the circumference and the center. So I'm going to do an activity now. If there's something that you would like to do along with me for the next however long it takes me to do this activity, feel free to join me. Whether you want to peel some carrots, I don't know, or move or do something, maybe walk slowly, and being aware of the gap between the in-breath and the out-breath. So what I have in front of me is some crystals so I'm just showing you here, some crystals that I soaked in water. And as I'm talking to you and as I'm drying them, I am noticing the gap between my in-breath and out-breath. And as I said, it's not very easy, because what can happen for me is I'll look at, say, a crystal and go, oh, that's really nice. Oh, I remember. And then suddenly my mind has gone off down the rabbit hole. I'm now identified with cleaning this. But if I bring my attention to the gap as I do this, drying these off, it becomes separate. I'm no longer identified with the activity. I'm still with my center. And our center is down just 2 inches below our belly button. So for me, this activity is going on. And at the same time, I'm being attentive. The gap on the in-breath, the gap on the out-breath, whilst talking here in this video. And there's a part of me that wants to say, oh, look at this very pretty crystal, for example. That's when my mind is kicking in. It's when I'm feeling identified. And I'm no longer in my center then when that happens. It's just the activity. What I found very helpful as well is when I can practice this in my work, in my day work, it feels much easier to do my work. I'm not so pulled in by stress, by demands. It's something to experience. So any activity that you decide to choose, maybe start with walking. Osho talks about that. Walking can be very easy to notice the gap. And here is something in my mind kind of goes, gosh, that's a very grey looking crystal. Again, I'm being pulled out from my center. All the time, our mind is labeling and categorizing. And we get pulled into activity and we just become activity. But by noticing the gap, we are both activity and meditation. The other final thing I'll share with you for me is that when you become centered as you're doing an activity by watching the gap, you no longer care about the outcome in the same way. So I have dried all these crystals here. Actually on the full moon I put them in the full moon, and that activity I didn't set a time or anything. It was just lovely to be in my being whilst doing an activity. So give it a try. And I'm not going to end this with 3 bells because, as Osho said, this is continuous. We're going to be continuously noticing the gap as we do worldly activity. So I hope you enjoyed this. I was kind of wondering, how am I going to share this on Facebook Live? But there you go, that's what came up. And next Sunday I'll be sharing the 7th technique from the Osho Book of Secrets. So thank you for joining me. Have a lovely day.